Hey, welcome back to Strength for the Day, and thank you for joining us. I am privileged this morning to have the esteemed Michael Clayton Petrick with us. And Michael, I'm so glad you could join us on the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Wow. Is that your Elvis impression? That was really good. No, I'm Dennis, and I almost said I'm Michael. I'm Dennis, and this is Michael, and we are glad that you're with us. If you are brand new to Strength for the Day, thanks for jumping in. We try to take just a few minutes every day to look at God's Word, see how it is applicable and relevant for our life. And if you've been with us on our journey, then you know we are in a series called Jesus is Better, and really looking through the book of Hebrews, understanding that the author is writing to Jewish believers in Jesus who are thinking about going back to the law. And of course, the author is writing saying, don't do that. You have the answer. His name is Jesus. And in our last few episodes, we've been talking about sacrifices. And so, Michael, why don't you take just a second and just walk us through where we've been in our last few episodes.
Yeah, so here we are. We were in chapter 9. We just finished up the last episode, and kind of the tail end there was just diving into the importance of blood in the Old Testament, and that famous verse there, without the shedding of blood, there is no remission. Yeah. There is no forgiveness of sin. And then it goes through here a little bit of the greatness of Christ's sacrifice, and we kind of talked about the idea that it was the last blood, that it was when Jesus took that blood and entered, the Bible talks into like a heavenly sanctuary, which was a picture of what Moses built there in the tabernacle and presented it there. It was the last blood necessary, last blood spilled. It was perfect and was used to redeem us. And so it was a once for all sacrifice. And we're actually going to get into chapter 10 here is where we lead in, and just talks about the insufficiency of those animal sacrifices.
That's what I was just going to say. We just kind of continue looking at the insufficiency of the sacrificing of animals. So why don't you dive in, and why don't you read it for us today? I don't remember who read the last episode, but
hey, that's all right.
We'll just
if it's not even, you know.
We have to be even.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to go back and look. If it's not, I'm erasing this
totally,
one. We're
totally
redoing
off topic,
it.
but my wife, when it comes to anything, it's like if I'm like rubbing her hand, you know, I can't just rub one hand. She's like, you got to do the other one. Make it even.
Make it even.
Yeah, it's just, anyway, came
I
to
thought you
mind.
were going to say that your wife like pours you a cup and then pours her a cup of coffee and makes it very even. Does she do that?
Oh, no, because she likes these big mugs.
And you don't?
Well, it's just not a big deal to me.
Right. Well,
so anyway, that was totally
there's
off.
our sidetrack.
Yeah.
Well, let's dive in.
Mind.
Hebrews chapter 10, talking about the insufficiency of the animal sacrifices. Go for it.
Yeah, so chapter 10, verse 1. For the law, having a shadow of the good things to come, and not the very image of the things, can never, with these same sacrifices which they offer continually, year by year, make those who approach perfect.
Okay, stop.
Yeah.
We got to kind of do this as we're going through it.
Yeah.
So if you've been with us, then you'll remember that the author has this emphasis on the humanity that is offering sacrifices versus the deity of Jesus' sacrifice. And so this verse is really just another echo of that the law is just a shadow. It's just a picture of good things to come. And then it says that they which they offer continually year by year, make those who approach perfect. So the sacrifices can never make the perfection there. That's something only Jesus can do. So keep going.
Yeah, I was just going to say, as you're bringing that up, I love here, it talks about, in that verse we just read, the law having a shadow of the good things to come and not the very image of the things. So the law was a shadow, but it wasn't the very image of the thing.
Yeah.
Does that sound familiar? That's because Hebrews chapter 1 literally starts the entire thing talking about God spoke to us in the prophets, but in these last days has spoken to us by his Son. And at verse 3 there says, who being the brightness of his glory and the express image of his person.
Yeah.
And so again, he's tying that back to his opening statement there, that Jesus, unlike the law, which was just a shadow, we talked about that with the Old Testament, like bumping into things, and then Jesus turned on the light, and he was the fulfillment. There's that express image lingo going on again. I think it was just kind of a cool tie back.
Yeah, and just so we
emphasizing that.
know, it's emphasizing the deity, the fact that he is God. So
Yeah.
go ahead.
No, yeah, it's good.
Verse 2.
Verse 2. For then would they not have ceased to be offered? For the worshippers, once purified, would have had no more consciousness of sins, right? But in those sacrifices, there is a reminder of sins every year. For it is not possible that the blood of bulls and goats could take away sins. Man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm already like, okay, what it like. I think we said this in a couple episodes ago, but we wrestle with where to put the brakes in because it can be very repetitive. But I think and I hope that each one of us listening and watching would kind of catch that the author is really reiterating time and time and time again about the fulfillment of true forgiveness.
Yeah. I think a great way to, if you're tracking along with us in these episodes, it may be helpful when you listen to each episode is maybe not think, okay, what's a whole completely new thought we're going to think of today?
Yeah.
I think a good lens to look in or to think of is same topic, but how did Jesus fulfill the law in a slightly different way?
Yeah, what's another perspective?
Yeah, what's another perspective? And then that maybe helps us with the idea of kind of said the same thing. Yeah, but he didn't quite say it like this. And so this is the, just saying it in a little bit.
That's where what I
specific
think
way.
when I look at this verse number 3, but in those sacrifices, there is a reminder of sins every year. Remember, and we talked about this, I think 3 episodes ago.
They're starting to blur together.
Yeah, it is. But the fact is, like the priest would have to come and bring that sacrifice every year, and so it was just a reminder: we cannot obtain forgiveness. We just have to keep coming in faith and bringing the sacrifice.
Yeah, there's never a completion.
Yeah,
And like
but
he says,
that's
there,
where
yeah.
there is with Jesus, which is the next section. So
Yeah.
let's read that.
Yep, and it just kind of ties in verse 4. It was impossible that the blood of bulls and goats could take away sins. And that, I think, just thinking with the Old Testament, the mindset maybe, again, putting yourself back in there, whenever you sacrifice the animal, according to the author here, it was actually impossible.
Yeah.
That forgiveness was going to come through those animals' shed blood.
Okay, that
And
brings,
so that's more like it had to be pointing to something
yes.
further.
Yeah, and that brings a really good subject or a really good topic that I want to look at our time. Okay, we might. I don't know. A lot of people think that God's way of redemption changed, right, from Old Testament to New Testament because of sacrifices being done away. Yeah. But that's where we need to remember that Jesus, all of this was a picture of Christ, but the sacrifices were performed in faith. And we're going to talk about that in Hebrews 11, where it brings out this understanding that the Old Testament saints were saved by faith. They sacrificed in faith that God was going to forgive them not because of their fulfilling of the law, but because of the faith to do what he said.
Yeah, exactly.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's always a good reminder because I know that I've read this before and thought, well, why did they do sacrifices then? Like if they knew it was imperfect, like it was faith. God said, so they were like, okay, in faith we believe.
Yep.
So let's keep going.
No, that's good. So
Verse 5.
It was impossible for the animals to take away sins. So with that in mind, therefore, when he came into the world, he said, sacrifice and offering, talking about Jesus, sacrifice and offering you did not desire, but a body you have prepared for me. Man, this is so good. In burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin you had no pleasure. Then I said, behold, I come. In the volume of the book it is written of me to do your will, O God. Man, I just have to mention there, it's when Jesus came. And again, he's quoting Psalms 40, but Jesus is the fulfillment of that. He's saying, sacrifice and offering you do not desire.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean God doesn't desire it? It's all over the Old Testament. You would assume that that's what pleases God.
Right.
No, he says, but a body you have prepared for me. It was the body of Jesus. That would be the ultimate sacrifice. The sacrifices and offerings and things, that did not it wasn't the complete picture.
Right.
It was always a pointing forward. And in burnt offerings and sacrifice of sin, you had no pleasure.
Yeah.
It means in the sense of, yes, God accepted them, but that's not where he found his pleasure.
Right.
He looked forward to the death of his son when Jesus would come and die. And that's where yes, there was going to be this wrath there, but there's also going to be the redemption of his creation. Forgiveness was there. And so Jesus' heart was, behold, I come in the volume of the book to do your will, O God, which is, again, the echo of what the Garden of Gethsemane.
Yes.
God, not my will, but yours be done.
Yeah.
And so Jesus is, again, just showing his obedience to the Father in this. Yeah, moving on, verse 8.
Going, yeah.
Previously saying, sacrifice and offering, burnt offerings and previously saying, sacrifice and offering, burnt offerings and offering for sin, a tongue twister there, you did not desire, nor had pleasure in them, which are offered according to the law. Then he said, behold, I have come to do your will, O God. He takes away the first, that he may establish the second. By that will we have been sanctified through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once for all.
Yeah.
So he's reading, and then he's, in a sense, reading it again and giving commentary. That's really what he's doing. Yeah.
Yeah, and we can see a handful of things in this, but the two things I want to mention. First, notice the phrase again, once for all.
Yeah.
We've talked about that. Mm-hmm. The fulfillment of Jesus in conquering death, conquering sin, and becoming what Paul would write about, the one who brings complete victory. Mm-hmm. But the second thing that I want to give, I'm going to pass it to you. What are some thoughts or application from this? I mean, again, not to necessarily be repetitive, but it just talks about the fact that those sacrifices of animals were just a picture of what Jesus brought. What are some thoughts that you think we could walk away with today?
Yeah. I think just because it's listed here as scripture that Jesus fulfilled, what was in the heart of Jesus entering into this world and sacrificing himself? It was, I've come to do your will, O God, was Jesus's heart.
Yeah.
The amazing part is, again, getting right theology is really helpful because sometimes people, they get the idea that God was the wrathful one and that Jesus was like the in-between. Oh, no, Father, I'll pay the debt, and and then God's like, okay, well then you do that, and then it's just like people can get a really skewed version of who God is.
Right.
The reality of it is, God the Father. And how it is in the Trinity, like obviously there's mystery there, but his will was the salvation of creation and humanity. And Jesus talks about he laying his life down for his sheep, for people that he loved.
Yeah.
He loved. So it was a God loving and the Father loving and Jesus loving. It was a Trinity, triune God loving and planning, to have this accomplished. But in that, there is an aspect of Jesus submitting to the Father's will in just simplicity there. However, it went down in the eons of time before. When Jesus entered this world, he had a heart of, God, I want to do your will, which I mentioned in the Garden of Gethsemane again. Jesus, he saw the weight of sin approaching at the cross, and yet at the end, his heart's desire was, hey, this cup is going to really, really be hard. It's going to be a cup of wrath. I'm going to drink, my Father's wrath because I'm going to bear the sin of the world. Yeah. But in and through that, Father, let your will be done and not mine. Yeah. And I think just a simple, side application for us listening is, if Jesus's heart was, God, Father, I've come to do your will. As followers of Jesus, what better line or way of life is there to pick up?
Yeah. That's exactly where I was going to go. That's on my last thought was simply that. Jesus prayed, nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. And, sometimes in our life, I don't know about you, but I know for me that there are days when I don't want to pray that. I want my will to be done. Nevertheless, not your will, God, but my will be done. And those are the days, honestly, that I look back usually in regret. And I look back at frustrated at myself because I thought I knew better than God. And so I want to encourage you today. Don't let today be one of those days. Choose today. Maybe this morning you would just take a few minutes, and after we are done and you turn off the podcast, maybe you just silence your mind and your heart and then open it up to the Lord. God, I just want to surrender my day to you. Sometimes we think in the big term, the long term, like, all right, God, I surrender everything to you forever. But you know what? The forevers are built upon the single days. A couple weeks ago, I had opportunity to speak at a men's retreat, and I met a man who's been following Jesus for over 60 years. And he actually went to college with John MacArthur.
Oh,
and
wow.
It was just super cool meeting him. But I was thinking about his life and the fact that he has 6 decades of faithfulness following the Lord, but those 6 decades are made up of just single days. And so today's a single day in your legacy. And so don't look at the big long term. Let's look at surrendering today. So I hope that'd be a help to you, and we will pick up tomorrow in our next episode on Hebrews chapter 10 and verse number 11, and then we'll see where we get. So have a great day, and let's be surrendered to Jesus today. We'll see you tomorrow.